pleasure. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about navigating your path to the boardroom, and I'm really excited to share some information with you. I do encourage people, and I hope it's okay, Linda, I encourage people to stop and ask questions in the middle. You don't have to wait till the end. I will not lose my place. It's completely fine. I would prefer that you ask me while it's fresh in your mind and you have the question, have to wait all the way till the end of the presentation. I can assure you, even before I get started right now, I know some of you I haven't had the pleasure to meet yet, but what I will say is that all of you are very unique. You're all special and you all offer something that is wonderful and amazing and that you could bring to board service should you wish to do so. However, you do need to know that navigating your path, it is a path. It is not something that happens overnight. It does take time, and it requires something that I have little of, patience. And if I know many of you also are not that patient, but I can assure you it is well worth your effort, your energy, and the time that it takes to make sure that you are positioning yourself for success in navigating your way to a paid board position. It is a great time for business leaders that are interested in joining a corporate board. And you don't have to be someone who's already at the C-suite. You don't have to be that person. That is a traditional method of thinking, that you have to be the CFO, the CEO, the CIO, or any of the C's to get a paid board role. That is not true. There are plenty of opportunities for people that have not served on boards, but are ready or think they're ready to move into that level of engagement. And building up your background, your skills, your talents, all the things, the amalgamation of which make you who you are as a person and as a professional, can position you for board work. That means women, because there's a lack of women leadership, not only at the highest levels of organizations, but also at the board level. It also means people from underrepresented groups, more diverse candidates, Black and brown people should be moving steadily towards these board roles. Now is the time for people that traditionally were underrepresented in the boardroom to go ahead and focus on making that leap into the boardroom. And sometimes it's not really a leap. You have the skills and talents to do so. It's just about putting your plan in place, making sure you have the right tools and strategies, and then moving ahead with purpose to do that. So in light of that, let's talk about the most important thing with all of this, your unique value proposition, your UVP. That is a very important component of making sure that you are able to move seamlessly from where you are today with the skills and talents that you continue to develop into a board role. The strategy of informing your audience of what your brand is, who you are, and what makes you unique is your unique value proposition. You need to understand it, but you also need to understand that it is not something that is static. Your UVP changes over time. It changes as you change. It changes as you grow. It changes as you move into new opportunities and continue to refine your talents and add value, whether that is to a corporate role or your own business that you're managing and running or something else. Or maybe you're already sitting on boards. Maybe you have a combination of the corporate experience and board work. And maybe it's not even paid board work, which is okay. And I would also say, and I'll repeat this again, it's important to get board work that maybe is with a nonprofit or a philanthropic organization, because all board work informs other board work. It's great to get nonprofit experience. You will really get an understanding of what it's like, what it means to sit on a board from getting a nonprofit or philanthropic role. And stop me if you have any questions in the middle, please. Let's talk a little bit about the 4 steps to your UVP. Set a clear target. This is very important because getting a board seat, you want to be intentional about the types of positions and the types of boards you want to pursue. It is not a scattershot approach to board work. And I will give you an example. I have a client who was very excited about getting her first board. And it was great that she got this opportunity. This was wonderful. She was working towards this. Amazing. The issue was that she didn't do her due diligence. And as we all know, in work especially, due diligence is the cornerstone of success, because it is easy to make a mistake if you rush headlong into something because you think you want it so bad that you avoid or look away from the obvious things that might be problematic. And that's what she did. She wound up taking a board seat, and it didn't work out because she knew when she joined it wasn't the right thing. There was just no cohesion among the other board members. It was a board that was slightly larger than traditional boards, which was fine, but there was a lot of little fiefdoms and infighting. Nobody wants to go and have that experience on a board. So set your target. Make sure you do your due diligence. Believe me, they're going to look you up and they're going to do a full vetting of your background, of the things that you say that you have on there. They're going to thoroughly vet you, and you should be doing the same. Identify your strengths. One of the key things that you really need to focus on as far as positioning yourself for board work is making sure that you know not only what your strengths are, but what the strengths that you need to portray for that board seat. For example, I have a couple of people now that are pursuing board work, and the board, it's specific. One of them is a pharmaceutical board, and the things need to be related to that target, but the things these people are talking about are not things that are aligned with that. You want to make sure your story is aligned, and all of this is about storytelling. That means that for something like that, you need to have a clear line of sight for what the board is looking for. Identify your strengths and understand what they are. But equally important, you need to understand the things where you need to develop some skills so you are positioning yourself properly. Tie your strengths to your target. This is all about making things aligned and making sure that you're taking the time to review the files that you have, your board resume, your board bio, and any other materials, of course, your LinkedIn, and that it is aligned with the board that you are pursuing, or more than one that you're pursuing. And I like to keep notes or a log of everything, if you will, because it really helps keep you on point. It helps keep you organized, and it gives you a calendar, if you will, of the timeline that from where you started, where you are today, where you're moving towards, who you've spoken with, the opportunities in which you express interest. So it really helps to keep you on a very good, straight and narrow path. And then you're going to provide evidence and success. When I write for people, I write in two ways: aspirationally and outcome driven, both of which are key to success. Why? Because the evidence that you're going to provide that supports the work that you're going to do, that is critical to supporting your efforts. And it doesn't even matter whether you are looking for board work or looking for another regular full-time role. That methodology is something that should extend across everything you do in your professional paradigm, if you will. So outcome driven, very important. Aspirationally, many of you, or perhaps all of you, have not yet gotten a paid board role, and that's perfectly fine. You want that. So you're going to write to what that is. You don't write from where you're coming, you write to where you're going. And that is a critical aspect of ensuring that your documents and that your narrative, the story that you're presenting, the brand that you're delivering, delivers that message loud and clear so people can attach themselves to it and recognize, yeah, this person will make a great addition to our board. Any questions so far? Okay. This is the before, and this is the actual person. So Derek is a client of mine, And he is also the author of a book, A Diary of a Black Man on Wall Street. If anybody is interested, he chronicles his journey from where he grew up to where he went to school to his eventual position and ascent on Wall Street, where he was wildly successful over his career. He agreed to allow me to share his information. And in another presentation, he was not a co-host with me, but he was part of the audience and knew that his documents were in there. So he graciously allowed me to share his before and his after. So that's what you're going to see right now. And so this is the second page, because needless to say, I can't fill the entire screen. It would be very, very tiny. And this is his second page. And then this is what it became. I don't know if you can see this. This is what he used to get, and I'm going to go to the second page so you could see. This is what he used to get his board that he now sits on. And this really took what was sort of like a not very well thought out document to something that was very tailored, very specific. And yes, the board he is on is in financial services, but this provided very meaningful and tailored information with examples and an aspirational focus up front that allowed him to pursue and secure a paid board role. And this is it's actually 2 pages, but this is the second part of the second page now. And I'm going to give you some additional examples moving forward, just so you get a sense of what I'm talking about, because I think some of these things, listening to them, can sometimes be esoteric and not very well defined. And seeing the examples really helps to provide clarity around these things. Here's another one. This is redacted, obviously, because this person is someone that is on a number of boards now, and I don't want to share. I never share anybody's information with other people because it's proprietary. But this person is on a number of boards and use this to secure yet another board. The board that this person got there's a heavy leaning towards DE&I for this board, as well as finance and moving the needle for the company that they went to. This file, this is the first page, and this person is a Hispanic male. He ran a major sports franchise, and this is the file that he used along with his board bio and his LinkedIn to secure. He was on a board, but this helped him get several others that he now sits on. And it was really about his investment management background, which you see at the top, business operations, his leaning into diversity and innovation. And that's something that was very important to him. He really was committed to going to a board that had that culture of inclusion, because the sports franchise that he runs, they implemented a lot of things related to DE&I, and he was committed to going to or getting another board that had a lot of that and was committed and investing in that area. Here's his highlighted achievements area, again, leaning into outcomes and the things that he conceptualized, led, delivered, and did for the organization that really elevated its presence for consumers. And also internally, it changed the entire internal operation because he focused heavily on bringing people up and driving a culture of inclusion, driving a culture of engagement, and it was game-changing for them. Here's another one, and this person is Hispanic and Black female. The reason why you see a photo up there, she wanted her photo on this file. Generally, I don't put the photo on the board resume. I put it on the board bio, She wanted it on her board resume, so that's where it went, in that corner there. She ran and owned and subsequently sold her own investment management firm. She is also the founder of an angel investing firm that invests in early stage startups for Latina women. That was front and center on her board resume. It was a theme that extended across her board bio. It was prominent on her LinkedIn profile. Part of this was also her understanding and ability to embrace disruptive technologies. And that was part of her story as part of presenting her for paid board service. She previously had a paid board, but it was not something that was current. And this helped her immeasurably to move into more paid board work and lean into her strengths, which is finance, ESG, which is a big topic right now if you have that, business leadership, operations, and being able to scale companies from startup to mid-market growth. And this is the second page, or part of the second page, of her board resume as a managing director. When she was managing director, it was the firm that bought out her firm. So she stayed on and continued to work with them from before she was the founder and president of her own firm. Any questions on this thus far? Okay, I'm going to talk about this one. This one's a little unique. This person, young guy, he founded a couple of companies. He had never been on a board, never. He was placed based on a recruiter. He actually was a recruiter found him and had me work with him to create this as part of a slate. So he was one of a number of other people that she was putting forth for a healthcare board. Yes, Robin. You're on mute.
Yeah. So you might have just already answered my question. I know that the first resume you showed us the before and after. These other ones, were they also ones that you helped create? It sounds like you helped create these, like you took their before and what you're showing now is kind of their after, right?
Yeah, so I don't use anybody's existing artifacts. My after is a fully new after. I look at what they have. If they have something, some people don't have anything. And I use that to I just review their background. The after, is not something, the after is just a completely new thing. Their befores, some of them are difficult to look at. Some of them are messy, if you will. And their afters really just create their story. So that's what it is. This person, though, he was working. He founded a couple of companies, and then he was a chief commercial officer, as you can see, at another company. And this was an interesting job for me, specifically because it's a bit different. The look of it is a bit different than what is traditionally used for board placement. And the reason why I was asked to create it this way was because the other people that were on the slate had a lot of very different experience that was very specific to the board. Not that he did, but because it was his first board, she wanted him to look a little bit different. There was one slot for of the slate of candidates that were put forth for that public company board, which this guy got. So it was a huge win for them both. He now sits on that board, and I know he's doing some amazing things because his background is in novel therapeutics and other things, and commercializing those things and bringing them to the market to provide access to people that need treatments. So this was a very interesting project, and it really worked out well for him. He's still working. He's not anywhere near retirement. He's a young person, and it was a really interesting opportunity to work on something like this. Your target, and I talked a little bit about this before as far as setting the sights on your target. Keep notes for yourself. I am a big note taker, and the notes you write and you keep, whether it's on your computer or if you go old school and you write them down, which is fine, you should really understand what it is that you're looking for, because that is just as important. Knowing what you want is the pathway to how to get there, and it will also prevent you from making mistakes. Do not let your zeal for pursuing and securing a board role prevent you from doing your own level of due diligence. You should always be looking at the most important things that you are looking to get out of it. Of course, you're going to get these boards, right? And you're going to have these opportunities, and they're going to be paid, and you're going to be excited by all of that, as well you should be. And that is all well and good and wonderful. But you need to pay attention also to the things that give you pause. And that is something that you should be doing, not just for your board service, but for anything that you're doing relative to any roles that you might be pursuing otherwise. And don't be afraid to ask questions. I mean, the questions are the things that set you apart. Your questions will give you knowledge. Your knowledge will give you power. And your power is the thing that you're going to use to determine if, in fact, a particular board is right for you. You need to do your own due diligence. If you rush, you will make a mistake. Yes.
Thanks, Deborah. Do you need a recruiter to always get a board position?
No, you don't. Board service, I will tell you, this was just a unique thing that this person, she found him, and she's in California. She works a lot in that space. Specifically, her area really is healthcare. She works a lot in healthcare. Most of the time, you'll find that the way you're going to go about getting board service is through your network.
Yes, I've heard that.
And that's why I recommend going and doing a nonprofit or a philanthropic board to start, because those people that you're meeting with from those engagements, they are on other boards. And those are the people that are going to support your board service. And I have a million stories of that, where someone was on a board, went to this nonprofit, met someone, and that person said, oh, I'm also on the board of XYZ, and you would be great for that board. So let me put you forth for a potential opportunity on that board. I also want to make mention of the fact that if you're going to be going online and trying to do this, don't bother. You're not getting a board. I've never met someone once that called me and said, I got a board seat from Boardsy. Not once ever. I've been doing this for a really long time. Thousands of people. Not one time has anyone ever said to me, yes, that was the way. It's not going to happen that way. Or I shouldn't say that. Is it possible? Yes, it is possible. It is also possible, perhaps, for you to be struck by lightning in a supermarket, although unlikely. So thinking of it from that perspective, it is unlikely you're going to find these things because you decided to dabble online. Instead, lean into your network. This is where the work comes. This is where you're going to do all of your work. Lean into your network, speak to people, engage with people, get connected, and build meaningful, lasting relationships. That will be the way for you to get your board placement. Those are the examples that I have of people, that one person, which is like a one-off, honestly. Everybody else has used their network, and they've gone to nonprofit, philanthropic boards first, and they've moved steadily through the roadway, if you will, onto paid board placement. And it takes time. It's not something that happens overnight. Any other questions? Okay, moving on. What are your strengths? The reason why I have this here, and I think it's really, really important, you do need to know your strengths. You also need to know what your weaknesses are. Nobody likes to admit that they have weaknesses. Think about the interviews you've gone on, even for regular opportunities or things where you've interviewed other people and they give you these trite answers. I'm a perfectionist, as opposed to what? Right? Those are not weaknesses. And part of understanding where you fall in the paradigm of your board search is also understanding a full 360, the entire picture of not only what you offer, but where you need improvement. And there's no harm in understanding nobody's perfect. Everybody needs improvement in some areas. None of us are infallible and nobody is perfect. Understanding what your strengths are, you should go to the market, meaning go to your friends, go to your family, go to your colleagues, go to your supervisors or people that have been supervisors in the past, go to your subordinates if you have those, and understand the entire profile of who you are. You want to get accurate, timely, meaningful feedback from these people about all of these things, because it will only help make you better. It will help make you stronger. It'll help you understand where the gaps are so you can lean into those things. And you might learn, okay, I'm really excellent in these areas. And then I have a little bit of a gap over here. How do I fill that gap? It's not the weakness or the gap, if you will, is not the issue. There's two other issues that are really associated with that. It's not understanding what it is, and then because you don't understand, not doing anything about it. Everybody has things that they need to improve. Understanding what they are and taking those measurable steps to drive change, that is the thing that will really set you apart and allow you to move forward with purpose, as I like to say. My son always yells at me when I say that, move ahead with purpose. He says, I know we're moving ahead with purpose. And yes, we are. We're all moving ahead with purpose because, again, your strengths and all of the wonderful things, the ideas that you have to bring to board service will be game changers for some of these companies. It's just about establishing your plan, connecting your strengths and your targets, and then moving ahead with your plan to make it happen. Evidence and success stories will close the deal. This is a critical thing. Your success stories are the things that help you stand apart from the rest of the crowd, as opposed to just talking about things at a higher level that don't really resonate with people. Providing the examples will absolutely make you stand out. And I understand sometimes people don't have all of the quantifiable achievements that maybe they would like to have. Sometimes they don't remember because they haven't taken good notes, which I digress for 1 second, just to hammer home the point about keeping a diary, if you will, whether written again or on the computer or somewhere else, that you can then go back and look back. I don't know what happened yesterday, much less what happened 5 years ago. And this is, to some degree, you need to look back because you want to have a story that presents your capabilities in a way with a history behind it. It's writing to what you are, what you want to be, but also looking to make connections to other points in your career, in your professional life that inform the story. Everybody, you're not Flat Stanley. You are multidimensional, and you are all people that add unbelievable value. But you have to dig to find that value and understand your story and how you're going to bring that forward. I did work for a gentleman, and I feel like I need to share this with you. It was kind of interesting. we had a whole conversation. I'm a big researcher, which is another thing that you should be doing. Research will set you free, honestly. And it's easier now than ever before. When I was doing research, it was the card catalog. You could literally lose your mind in that library. Now, all you need is a computer, right? That's it. And you can pretty much find anything. He provided me with a lot of information about his background, his achievements, everything. I, of course, subsequently go and I'm doing research and I'm looking him up and I'm doing this deep whatever. And I find that he founded a company. He founded a whole company that was highly successful and had an exit even. He exited with like an X multiple. And I'm like thinking to myself, what is happening here? Like, where is this thing? Why did we not talk about this? So I call him up. And I say, hey, looking to discuss this little thing that you managed to leave out of your entire narrative. Oh, yeah, I did that. Okay, I did that makes it seem like it was an afterthought. This became, it grew to a pretty sizable thing. Like, why would you leave that out? So, and I'm not even going to get into the rest of it. It was just a bizarre, I don't understand why, even to this day, why it was not part of the initial conversation. But be that as it may, it wound up in his board materials and was really a key part of his securing board work, founding that company, because he went from the initial startup to fundraising, to a Series B, to an exit, then another round, then an acquisition, then a purchase by a private equity firm. I can't even begin to tell you the level and just the scope of this thing that was not included initially. So keep track of your success stories and make sure that you're ready to talk about them and prepare to discuss them. I'm showing you this because the gentleman that I showed you before that went to the healthcare board that I talked about through the recruiter, this is the pathway. He had medical genomics, did joint venture partnerships, had a lot of revenue and profit growth, resulted in that healthcare board. Then the other person, you see digital transformation, M&A, finance and accounting strategy. These things informed that person's presence on a board and their attainment of board service. And it was about establishing that story, telling that brand story, and moving into this board service that they then parlayed into other board roles. Any questions? LinkedIn, let's talk for a few minutes about your LinkedIn profile. LinkedIn is your friend. People are all over LinkedIn, although, and I don't know about you guys, but I sort of feel sometimes a lot that LinkedIn is becoming more like Facebook, much to my chagrin, but nevertheless, you want to update your profile with your experience, your accomplishments. It should be tied to your board documents, your board resume, your board bio, if you have one, which I encourage you to do so, any other files that you have that are supporting your board placement, your accomplishments, your values, your interests. Use the keywords to your benefit. Posting will help get you traction as part of your board search. And you need to stay engaged and be consistent. And also, more importantly, stay away from talking about things that don't serve you. Like, for example, the woman who wrote an entire missive about her husband's infidelity, never going away, part of the digital footprint forever. Why, oh, why would you put something out there for the world to see? People don't know you. They don't know anything about you, and you're sharing something so deeply personal and probably very just hurtful. Why would you put that out there? I don't know her specific story. I just happened to see this, but she's got a professional life. You've got to think that other people are seeing this and raising eyebrows, not necessarily about the infidelity part, which raises eyebrows anyway, but the part that why would you post something so personal and on a forum like that where you have millions and millions of viewers every day? This is a professional site. Use it to your advantage. Keep it professional. Talk about the things that have meaning to you professionally. Share information with the rest of the community that empowers them, that supports them, that lifts them up, that provides guidance, that is useful and measurable and achievable for some people. Maybe it is a post about inspiring someone and maybe you'll make someone's day, which is amazing. And it makes you look good, which is a wonderful benefit. This is a LinkedIn profile of someone who is they're all clients, obviously. And this is his LinkedIn profile. The area that I would like you to pay particular attention to is the experience area here, because he is on a number of boards. He's on so many boards, actually, he can't take any more. He's got a lot of boards. He was the president of a pharmaceutical company, Black male, and he's moved into a lot of boards. And the reason why I'm bringing these things up is that it is all of the people, I think, except for one in here, is part of an underrepresented group. Latina female, Black male, Hispanic male, Indian American. So it's just to show you that there's a lot of opportunity now for people that otherwise, or formally, I should say, were not getting a seat. Now is the time for change. Take this opportunity and position yourself for these initiatives. And I would be remiss if I didn't bring up yesterday's International Women's Day. Women are the cornerstone of our society. Okay, I'm sorry for the men that are on this viewing this. I do love you, but not as much as I love my female counterparts. And women have been long held back. Do not let it continue to happen. Find your people, find your purpose. Linda has given us a gift through Leadership Global. And through this amazing group of women led by Linda, who is amazing herself, and who I have come to know well and respect and love as a friend, you can find what you need here, the empowerment, the tools, the resources, the people that will propel you into this next phase of board service, if that is what you're looking for. Do not wait for it to come to you. You will be waiting a long time. Go out and get it. This is Derek's LinkedIn profile. This is his summary, and this is more like a board bio, if you will, the way I did it for him. That sort of positioned him for success as part of his board journey and his success in board service. This is the rest of it. The featured section, I put his book. Again, very good book if anybody is interested in checking it out. Very interesting journey for Derek. Here's another example of a different type. I just want to give you guys a lot of sort of options to see how these things, there's no model, I guess is my point. You can do these things in any manner that you see fit, as long as you are delivering value. The board bio, I always put a picture on the board bio. Some of them I've done have color. Some of them are in black and white. It's really about what someone leans into. I do recommend, however, whatever you do, you put a picture on your board bio, and it should be a headshot. For these things, I do recommend that they're professionally done. It does make a difference. Build your unique value for our key takeaways here. Conduct your research. Research is the thing. I can tell you from experience, do your research. You will never go wrong. Prepare your board resume, your board bio, your LinkedIn profile. Leverage your network. If you don't have yet a formidable network, it is never too late to start. build your network, and let it work for you while you are also working for your network. These things are two-way streets. Develop your target and focus on your goal. And I can absolutely assure you, you will get there. It will happen. It will take work, but it will happen. Thank you so much.